What is happening, people, and welcome to the Scarfey Talks Premier League podcast. Haven't been able to say that for a while. It is back, and it's actually not hosted by me. I'm just introducing it tonight because I'm joined by a fantastic panel. But the two hosts of the Premier League podcast this year are Kai and Joe. So let's come to them first. Kai, I'll start with you. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Oh, very good, thank you. Really appreciate you agreeing to do this year. Are you excited?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I love football and I love talking about football, so put it into one and just see how we get on.
Should be good. Tell the people what club you support.
Sport Tottenham Hotspur.
Get in.
Yeah.
That's where it should be. I've got booze on the panel, but I say that's good. So thank you very much, Kai. And Joe, partner in crime in this case with Kai. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm good. I'm here with a load of Spurs fans and a Man United fan, and a Fulham fan. But there's two Spurs fans. I feel outnumbered, so I'm doing well. Thank you very much for having me on.
Anytime. And tell people you support. I think you give a little hint there.
I'm support of Arsenal Football Club, the greatest team in the world.
Well, I dispute that, but thank you very much for coming on. So these are the two hosts which will be here this season, and we've got two fantastic guests on tonight in Jake and Harry. Firstly, Jake, who is a Fulham fan. Jake, thank you very much for coming on. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. It's an amazing opportunity, so thank you for having me on here.
Anytime. Thank you very much. And Harry, great to have you back on. Of course, you're on my channel the other day. Thanks so much for coming on, Man United fan. How you doing?
Absolute pleasure, mate. I'm a good fella, you know. I look forward. It's going to be last. It's going to be, you know, an analysis. It's going to be jam-packed tonight.
Should be good, absolutely. And before I leave these wonderful people to it, this podcast, Scarfey Talks Premier League podcast, will be available on Tuesday and Thursday. So 2 episodes every single week, 8:45 p.m. So 8:45 Greenwich Mean Time, so it's UK time. So which is great. I think it's very important. You have 2 episodes. You have one. You forget about international break a minute, one reviewing the previous game week and then one previewing the upcoming game week because we don't want to jam pack it all into one. So it should be very good this season. Looking forward to seeing it. So that's it from me. Going to leave it over to wonderful hosts in Kai and Joe. But have a great show, everyone. And if you're listening, make sure to get involved and support. And thank you to both of you for hosting.
Thank you.
Cheers, mate.
All right. Hello, everyone. We're going to start with the Tottenham versus Manchester United game. Obviously, Tottenham fans on here as well as Man United. How do you think the game went from a point of view as a Manchester United fan?
So I think it's a tale of two because I was on here the day with Scarfey Match. We were talking about this, and I said that if I walked away with a point, I'd have took that and ran because our record against Tottenham is diabolical. For much as we banter Tottenham, they have had our number basically since 2022. So, like, coming into this game, I didn't know how to feel or how to react. And then we went 1-0 up, and I was like, okay, all right, we may try and get something here. But it was typical United where awesome in the first half, and then the second half, I think there was a start that were like in the bottom 3 for second half performances, and it was just like sitting back and praying for a 1-0 win, and then Spurs get the equaliser, and at that point I said to my brother that if it hits 90 minutes and added time, Spurs will score and win. What happened? 90 minutes, Spurs score. I think they're going to win, but Richarlison curse kicked in. He's done us a favour. He took his shirt off, as he did a couple of years ago. And I'm up in 96th minute. Matthijs de Ligt, the best Dutch centre-back this season in the league, stepped up on his 2 feet, finger in his ear. He's like, I've got this now. And then we drew 2-2. And look, I come away with that, happy with a point. And I've not lost to Tottenham again, so I'm very happy.
Yeah, what was your reaction when Richarlison's goal went in? Because obviously you're 1-0 up, holding it out, and then 2 late goals from Tottenham. It sort of changed the mood of the game.
Yeah, I mean the thing is that I've always rated Richarlison. I think he's a great footballer, but sort of been profiled wrong over the years. I think if you look at him at Watford and him at Everton, they used him really well, where in the case of it be solely a number 9 and nothing more than that. Whereas at Tottenham, he's done left wing shifts under Conte. He's played at right wing under like Nuno and stuff like that. So it's like I like him, but I think he's arrogance for a player of his quality. If he was getting 20 GA a season, I could justify it. But to do that 2-1 90th minute in the moment, it makes sense. But him, wrong place, right time in a specific sense, but the wrong club to do it against, because as it's shown on the weekend, we can score at any point in the game, no matter how good or bad we've been. And I thought that at 2, and I thought, yeah, that's it now. Spurs are going to see it out, sit back, defend, yada, 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 yada. And then we equalised, and it was, thankfully, not a loss.
Yeah, you came into the game with, was it 4 unbeaten?
Yes, yeah.
So the fans would have been up for it. Joe, did you get to manage to watch the game? Oh, you're on mute.
Oh, what a start! What a start! Yeah, I watched the game. You know what? From a Man United point of view, not point of view, but from their point of view, is I think they're very good in attack. I thought they've, you know what, Cunha. I thought I would have had him at Arsenal any day of the week. I think he's a brilliant player. And then Buemo, there's unpredictability in that attack. What I think Man United was struggling with is to keep the ball.
Is that due to a lack of midfield creativity, or?
I think there's a lack of, you see Maguire, he's starting, you know what, he's probably done better than people think, I believe. But it's almost someone that could just keep the ball. Just keep the ball with De Ligt. He's not a ball playing centre half. The way that you're playing with the free back and the high wing backs, you need centre halves that are going to keep the ball, or you're gonna have picking up the ball when you're back in net.
Yeah.
So,
well, after the game, news came out that Kola Moani actually fractured his jaw. Hence the reason he had to come off at half time. So now he's now out for 6 to 8 weeks. So not a good week for Tottenham, as they've already picked up a few injuries. But next game is Arsenal away from home, and that should be a good game.
Yeah, brilliant game. Yeah.
So now I think it's time we move on to West Ham versus Burnley. The result in that was 3-2. West Ham back-to-back wins since the first time since February 2024. What do you guys think about that game?
I mean, I think that regarding to West Ham, look, I said this on my account. I like Nuno. I think he's an excellent manager, and one of the things that I've seen West Ham fans saying when he first came in is that will he be able to do what he did at Forest? And I think you're starting to see that where they're not having all of the ball, but they're still finding ways to win games. And Burnley this season, for all the stick we gave them over the years of being like a ping pong team in the league, they've actually surprised me in the sense of the way they're playing. And I think they were really unlucky to not get at least a point, because they played really, really well against West Ham. But I think West Ham, look, if we're going to be honest here, I think Bowen and Paqueta are going to be the main 2 key reasons why West Ham step, because those 2 players are here, and West Ham's quality is like there. It's like it's night and day. So I'll go in for back to back, and hopefully he can make it 3-3.
I think it's key that West Ham can keep hold of them 2 players as we come up to the January transfer window. Goal came from Carl Walker-Peters, ex-Tottenham player. Joe, what do you think of the game?
I just think West Ham. I thought Burnley. I think they've surprised me a lot with Leeds and obviously Sunderland's nature. That's something we'll get onto later with the Arsenal. I love how Sunderland play, but it's Burnley. Even when them played Arsenal, they didn't. We didn't go and beat them 5-0. like other teams, like we've had Sheffield United in the past, they made a quite good game of it. And you know what? They're an all right team and they play good football. Scott Parker tries to play good football. But the only thing is, West Ham can score goals. They've got Bowen, they've got Somerville, they've got some good attacking players. But it's just keeping the ball at the net. That's the problem with them. And they're going to come up against better players, not Burnley players. No disrespect, Burnley, but other teams got a lot better players, and they're going to get found out a lot.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because
I think they'll be in the Championship next season.
yeah, West Ham did have 15 shots that game, which is, I think, for a Premier League football match, that's quite a lot of shots. And to only score 3, is that due to a lack of a poacher maybe in the squad? Obviously, Callum Wilson did score, but is he the one who's going to keep them up?
Only score 3. That, you know what, for West Ham to score 3, that's quite good going, to be fair. But against Burnley, you got to remember, against Burnley, I think, okay, was it 2 wins in a row? Innit? You said?
Yeah, 2 wins in a row now for West Ham.
It's their second week coming down from a goal down to winning the actual match, which is very good from them, to be fair.
Yeah, I think it's really impressive.
But do they need a goal to wake up?
Yeah, and that was the trouble with Tottenham last season, I think.
And I'm hearing Souček's playing as a 9.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's weird though because I'm not sure what you boys think, but we're surprised at how Nicholas Fulkrug's not managed to sell. Obviously, he came off the back of a fantastic, I think it was a Euros, it was, and he signed for West Ham from Dortmund, and I was like, okay, well, West Ham have got Fulkrug, a top striker, but he's just not hit the ground running like Scamacca a couple of years ago. And do you guys think that maybe West Ham need to shop in the younger market for striker? Because I think the older ones haven't done them too many very nice favours.
Younger market, you know, I do agree with you, but it's like they keep changing their manager. There's no point, you see with United, there's no point of going to get a younger striker who's maybe Nuno's way of playing, but then 5 weeks later, he's out the door. And then that young striker looking at it, and then another manager comes in, whoever it is, and goes to, I think, you're not a type of striker. I want to get rid of it. There's sort of, it's a very difficult situation because it seems like West Ham's bought 20 strikers over the last 10 years and it's not happened. But I do think they missed Antonio though. Because I saw on a podcast he said the other day, he said West Ham bought a striker nearly every single summer to basically replace him, but he was starting ahead of that striker at the end of the season. And
if you were a young striker, would you want to go to West Ham? How the club is running at the moment, I think it's a very toxic atmosphere, and the protests are continuing, so it's quite hard.
But you got to remember they won a European trophy a few years back. There's still a little bit of the game. Look, you know what? I might go. They've won a trophy. That gives them that step up. Do they want to go? Do young players want to go there? Maybe not now. Under David Moyes, I think, especially English young players.
Yeah.
Like Harry Bowen go.
You think they're missing that? They're missing the replacement of Declan Rice, I think. When they had him, he was their main outlet, and they just haven't been able to replace him.
Antonio and Declan Rice, and I think they lack physicality. They lack because they've got Paqueta and Fernandez in midfield, who are fantastic players. Don't get me wrong, but in the Premier League, as you see, Sunderland, we'll go on to that later. They've come in with physicality, and that's, I think, the way you have to go if you're a smaller team at the moment. And I think they just tried to. They've got too many little players: Somerville, Paqueta, Fernandez. They need to get some little. You know what? Have Paqueta. Paqueta's a brilliant player, but can you have 2, Souček and Freddie Potts, but maybe get more of an experienced player in there. But you know what? I think they need to dip into the market, especially defensively as well. There's need a lot of work with West Ham.
Yeah, I can agree. Let's touch on Burnley for a moment. Goals came from Fleming and Cullen. They're out of the relegation zone for now. Do you think they'll stay there, or do you see them going back down?
I think with Burnley, it's a case of that we always say it every season they come up, the sort of the odds-on betting favourite to go down. And I think, look, I agree with what you just said about Scott Parker. I think this season, he's learned from the last time he was here, where I remember, I think it was when he was coaching Bournemouth, I think it was, and Liverpool slapped him like 9-0, was it? 8-0 or something like that. And I think at that point, obviously, had his spell in Belgium, I think, with Club Bruges. And I think he's learned that he needs to be a more pragmatic coach. And what I've seen from Burnley is they're literally doing like just that. And I think that Fleming, I've been really impressed with him, by the
He's
way.
got something about him, doesn't he?
The Wolves game, that fantastic volley he did was excellent. I think Hannibal's been really good. I think the one thing that worries me a lot about Burnley is their midfield depth, because they've got Ogachukwu, who, for me, out of a poor Southampton side last season, was the best player for them. And I think that he's so talented that he can make any mid to relegation side a little bit more better and a bit more effective. But I think that you've got so many midfielders that sort of, in my opinion, don't fit the Burnley way. That it's sort of hard for Scott Parker to make a consistent starting 11, because the players are a bit of a mixed match. But saying that, the way they're playing, and obviously we beat them 3-2 at our place. But if you look at the stats, it wasn't a 3-2 game. Burnley should have really got a 2-2 draw, because it played really, really well. I thought that Lau Foster was excellent. And look, I think overall, if they can keep this up, and they can keep on the consistency, I think that they may have a slight chance of just scraping some survival, but I'm not too confident.
Yeah, well, I touched on West Ham having 15 shots. Burnley actually had 16 that game, 8 on target. Again, is that another club that are just lacking that classy striker?
I agree with Fleming, but do you think they have enough quality in the wide areas?
No, I don't think that's where they...
Jadon Anthony, I think he's a good player. I think he was good at Bournemouth, but has he got enough Premier League experience, or has he got enough Premier League quality to go and keep Burnley up? I don't know, but I do think Kyle Walker was a good signing. I don't know how they got.
Yeah.
I think Burnley will be that 17th, 18th club where they could just stay up, or they could just go down. But I see their back line. I think their back line's all right, even though they conceded 3 goals. But there will be some games where they'll be good defensively.
Yeah.
Because
it's a shame they had to get rid of Trafford as well.
I see Steve left centre half. I think Spurs wanted him in summer.
Yeah.
But I feel like
he was at Man United. Kyle Walker and Hartman, I think they're decent fullbacks, and I think they're good defensively. So they could be 17th, 18th, I think.
But I feel like going into the game, West Ham coming off of a double win, their morale was high, whereas Burnley actually come off 2 losses.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just
a bit of
I mean, I think. Do you think though, Jake, that might be in a case of, obviously, West Ham fans are going to be going into that game really confident.
Yeah.
But do you not think that Burnley come away from that thinking, all right, we lost 3-2, but we actually played well, and if we keep it up, then maybe we survive at the end of the week? Do you think that's the case, Jake?
I mean, maybe. I don't know. Coming off of two losses, I think maybe the third maybe just tip them over the edge. Maybe.
Yeah.
But
it's hard because they've come from being a top team in the Championship, and then they come to the Premier League, lose their goalkeeper, which is massive for them, conceding 9 goals last season, which is incredible in a league like the Championship. But I think both sides have got a season ahead of them. But I think it's time we now move on to Everton versus Fulham. Everton winning that game 2-0, goals coming from Keane and Gabe. what are your thoughts on Everton so far, especially at home this season?
Well, I mean, Everton had all the possession in the early stages, threatened at the 5th minute, led by Vary, but I mean, it is just a poor effort, really, I think. Obviously, off the back of that, we see Marco Silva talks and threaten, but yeah, I have nothing to say, really. It's just quite poor.
I think the in terms of the Everton point, I'll get to follow him in a second. I think David Moyes and Everton, he just fits and feels right. I think when he joined Everton, a lot of people were like, I don't know, is it going to be another 2012 under Moyes where they do well for a bit and then they fall off? I don't think that's been the case. I think that Everton this season, I can see them, and I got cut out for this when I posted it, that Everton might get a Conference League finish because I look at that team they've got, and I like the players they've got. I think Grealish and Njai, I mean, especially Njai. I mean, he will be at one of Arsenal, United, or Chelsea in the next 3 years because he is so good that his ceiling is a top 6 team, without a doubt. And I think that he's shown that against Sunderland and he's shown that against Fulham. But I think the real person that we need to actually appreciate a bit more is Pickford. I think Jordan Pickford. Yeah. Look, we know the stick he gets. He's a shithouse goalkeeper. He will rattle you around 3, no problem. But as a goalkeeper, he's top because Fulham in the early season of the game were tested his waters a little bit. And Jordan Pickford kept his guard, made sure that Everton didn't lose heads. And I think that if they're going to have Pickford playing like that the rest of the season, I really wouldn't surprise me if we see Pickford in the Premier League team of the season because he's just an excellent goalkeeper.
Not David Raya.
Sorry?
Not David Raya.
I think home form's very important for Everton. They've only lost one game.
Well,
at home so far.
I always thought David Moyes was a really good manager. I think what he does, what West Ham, like we said, he plays to his strengths. And he can see he's put Ndiaye and Grealish out on the wide areas. Ndiaye, both of them could play in the middle. But I think where the game is won, where he likes pragmatic midfield players, Dewsbury or it's the lad who was at QPR, Tim, I forgot his second name.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, that's him. And Gaye, who I think is underrated. He likes pragmatic midfield players in the middle. And then he wants quality out wide. And that's where he's played with his strengths. And that's Grealish and Ndiaye, or is it Tyler Dibblin that's come in? And he's brought a big centre forward, and he's playing to his strengths, and that's how I think they've done really well. And you know what? I think Tarkowski and Keane, they've had that relationship. They were at Burnley together, weren't they? So, but I do think they need a right back.
Yes, that's big.
Central midfield player there. They need a right back.
I mean, if you look at the stats in the game, possession-wise, it was very similar. But as you can see, Everton had a lot more shots, but only 5 of them on target, whereas they nearly had the same amount of target. Fulham nearly had the same amount of target with nearly half of their shots. I mean, it's ridiculous. So, yeah.
So now moving on to probably the most exciting game of the weekend, Sunderland 2, Arsenal 2.
Yeah.
Joe, we'll start with you for this. Still top of the league, but it's the first time you conceded 2 goals in a game for a while now. You had 17 shots or so that game. Just talk us through it, mate.
Well, firstly, let's credit Sunderland because I haven't seen a team in a long time who's come up from the Championship where they come from the playoffs. Remember, they weren't 1 or 2 like Burnley and Leeds, but they you know what, one of the first teams I've seen in ages that really troubled our defence. Really, you know what? That's what, like I said earlier, and this is how I love a team who's big, strong, who's come up and they've brought in Xhaka, who's got experience, but they've brought in big, strong players who just it would suit the Premier League, and they've done well. But it's almost in that game, their game plan was brilliant, and I think they didn't let us play, and if you let Arsenal play, they can hurt you.
Yeah.
Like we've seen in previous weeks, if you let Arsenal play in the first 5 minutes, they'll grow in confidence. I don't think you're going to score against them, and they'll probably hurt you attacking wise. But I think,
Harry, what's your opinions on Sunderland so far this season? I think they
I
came up, they're fourth, and they're just.
Yeah, I think that again, very quickly on Arsenal actually before I go to Sunderland, I've been really impressed with Arsenal. I think this is the first time I've seen Arsenal and gone, I don't know who can stop them, because we're going to talk about City breathing down the net, but I think that Arsenal this season, especially in the second half against Sunderland, I think that they've ticked every single box that Arsenal needed to tick, and I think that even when they've got all the injuries they've got, all the players they've got out, and they're still playing like that, that's what a title-winning team is. Or do I don't need your best players to drag you through games, and you can have a full depleted squad, but your squad can still get points. That's what a title-winning team is. But on Sunderland, look, I've been banging on the rooftops about this team, because Brigitte Labrie, first and foremost, what a manager. I think he's absolutely superb. I think that one of the main things why I like him for is because he doesn't change his style of play, and he makes sure that every player he has in his team feels comfortable. Like with Mukiele on the long throw-ins, the smartest decision any coach could ever make, because you can tell that Brigitte Labrie watched clips of him at PSG and because he was their long thrower for both teams. So he's seen that and gone, okay, so that was that long thrower, we'll make him our long thrower. And he's seen Granit Xhaka Leverkusen. I believe he was captain, I think he was, under Xabi Alonso. And he's made him captain. And the way he leads and commands the team, and he makes the fans feel the players want to do more for the club. But what I mean by is because when you look at the teams that come up like Leeds and like Burnley and like Sheffield United, where they buy players who are younger, and they buy players from like Belgium, from Switzerland and stuff like that. But what Sunderland have done is they've gone and got European quality. Granit Xhaka, Mukiele, already last season in the La Liga team this season. Sunderland casually go and bring him in. Taube, unbelievable winger. A Dinger from Brighton. Like, they're bringing so many quality players that it was no surprise that they'd be in and around the top 10, but I never thought it'd be in the top 4. And if they keep them playing the way they are now, especially at home, which is their biggest weapon, in, as you said, Kai, if they keep on exploiting that home record and keeping it strong, they'll be in Europe for sure next season.
I think Sunderland's... Oh, go on, Joe.
I think they've probably looked at Forest last season. I think I see very much similarities to Forest last season.
Yeah.
Just the way they play. I think Arsenal dominated possession, dominated shots on target. I think dominated the game in general, but it's those bits of quality that Sunderland had. You know what? I think the managers probably told them, you know what, they're going to have most of the ball. But it's the quality you're going to have, the chances you're going to take, the quality in those wide areas, and the set pieces, the physicality. And Dan Ballard, ex-Arsenal, never got his chance, but he scored against us, and it was they knew how to play us, and I think Arsenal need to sort that out quickly before other teams exploit it.
I do think that some of them won't stay there, but their biggest threat is going to be their squad depth. I think if they start to pick up 1, 2, even 3, their injuries, their squad would just. I think it would start to
disagree with
crumble.
that. I see what you mean, but I disagree with that. The 3 subs they brought on, very good subs. You see, Bobby, he scored. He come on. And you know what?
Ex-Arsenal.
Isidore up top, he's a handful. He's
Yeah,
a
he's
handful.
a
Bobby,
big
and they
guy.
brought in Ingra, who's got Premier League experience. Those subs, and maybe as a whole squad depth, I do get you, but I still think they've got quality off the bench as well.
I think though the biggest issue they're going to have is that AFCON is next month, and we know how many African players they brought in, and one of my biggest concerns is that how they're going to cope when AFCON kicks in, but we know how that's going to go. So they're going to spend a bit more money. They're going to bring in more players in the new year to make sure that the squad isn't depleted, because I think having a big squad is absolutely fun because you've got competition and you've also got depth at the same time. So I think AFCON will be their biggest threat, but I think they'll be absolutely fine.
All right, so next game is Chelsea versus Wolves. Obviously, the sides met earlier on in the Carabao Cup, and that was a exciting game. We saw the end of that get sent off, but this time Chelsea dominated. 20 shots to Wolves 1, 64% possession to 36. It's the worst start for Wolves to a season, and what do you think of that?
Well, it was always going to be a tough game for Wolves, really. They've got no manager.
Yeah.
So it's always going to be tough. The game between your last manager and your new manager, who's Rob Edwards, I believe.
Yes. I think.
Yeah, and I think, you know what? I don't know about Wolves. If I'm looking at their team here, they lined up with. I really don't think their defense is very poor.
I think with Wolves, I agree, Joe. I think that the thing with Wolves is I actually seen this on Twitter the other day that they've actually got a point less this time last season. No, a point more. Sorry, and they stayed up in the league. And it's like, can they go back to back and start like that and stay up? I don't know, because look, we say this every single year about Southampton, about Sheffield United, but Wolves might actually break Derby's record, because I can't see where they get a win from, let alone even get a point, because Rob Edwards coming in is risky, because if you look at last season in the Championship, he got loosened down to League One. How the coach goes back-to-back seasons, down one league and down another league, that is really concerning. And
it's not like Rob Edwards lost loads of players either.
No,
when he went down to League One.
I think he had, I think apart from one or two, he had his full squad in the Championship, and he got, I think, like 21st, I think, or something like that. And I just think that with the Wolves team that they've got, apart from Andre Gomez and maybe Bellegarde at best, that team stinks. And when you're seeing in 2025 Matt Doherty start for teams, that's when you know that team's done, because he's not good, and I just don't know where or how Wolves are going to get a point this season. I really don't.
Yeah, I totally agree. Chelsea at the start of the season were in the talks for the title. I think they're not really like, I don't know, they're showing it a bit, but they're not being very consistent with it. They had a poor start to the season. And what do you think, Joe, of Chelsea so far?
Chelsea, they're very unpredictable, aren't they? 1 week they can look very good, like they did in the Club World Cup and beat PSG in the final, but the other week, you know what? I think anyone can beat Wolves in this league, but I just see. I think they missed Palmer, and I think Caicedo's brilliant. I think, you know what? I saw a stat the other day. Maresca hasn't used someone above the age of 30.
Yeah, no, I've seen that.
Yeah, and I think that's lack of experience. There's lack of experience there to keep consistency. Look at that. Let's just have a look at this. Look, we're a good team. Let's sort the mistakes out, and we could go in. You're looking at challenging Arsenal, City. I think they've got enough quality.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think?
And all them, so yeah.
I mean, do you think, Joe? That point's excellent, because I think that when you look at the players that Chelsea have had over the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years, they've at least had one or two players who are like veterans, like your Thiago Silva, like your Giroud. And do you think that Chelsea get one or maybe two of them sort of plays in, do you think they could challenge for the league, got the Champions League, or do you think they're a bit far away from those two things yet?
You want to answer this one, Jake?
I think he asked you.
Oh, you asked me.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, what was that again? Sorry, I was absolutely just.
No, so it was like Chelsea have had players like Thiago Silva and Olivier Giroud, so it's all like the experience kind. And it goes to the panel itself. That, do you guys think that Chelsea need to have maybe one or two older players in, like a Silva, where they sort of like know how to win trophies? What do you think?
Definitely. And I think you look at Chelsea and you look at their Champions League win, they've always had experienced players. If you have a look at Thiago Silva, Azpilicueta, John Terry when they won it, they've always had experienced players. And I think you do need, if you look at Arsenal, they brought in Jorginho. And even though we haven't won, but yeah, I just think it just maybe one or two players. I think maybe bring Rudiger back from Real Madrid. I think that could be a signing.
Yeah.
I think they need defensively. I think they need some reinforcements.
And then the next game was Aston Villa beating Bournemouth 4-0. I think that was the surprise of the weekend. Bournemouth had a chance to make it 1-1 from the penalty spot, and Semenyo, a good informed player so far this season, missed it. And since that, Villa just went on to smash Bournemouth at home. Villa Park, what a place to go, Joe. Do you think, again, that home form's going to help Villa maybe secure a European spot again, or?
Yeah, I think Villa's got enough. I do think. I think they're struggling at the start of the season, but I think they've got enough. But it was a very big surprise that they beat Bournemouth 4-0, because Bournemouth, they've looked a good team this season. They've looked even better than last. And you know what, Bournemouth, they've done well up to the 4-0, but they've sold all their defenders to big clubs, but they've replaced them with defenders that look like defenders, look like on that level they've just sold. So they've done really well. Really, really well.
Harry, do you want to touch on Bournemouth so far this season? Obviously, Semenyo being probably the standout man, and then they've got a few England call-ups in there.
Yeah, I think that it's a very cool cast as Villa. I think a massive shout out to Emi Buendia. What a turnaround he's had. I mean, I've liked this guy since his Norwich days. I think he's a terrific footballer, and the fact that Emery's even put an egg into the basket of sort of like saying, all right, you know what, let's give Buendia a go, and just every game that goes by, he gets better and better and better, and I'm just pleased with him. But for Bournemouth, yeah, I think I agree with what Joe said. They've had most of their squad depleted. They had Hodgson soon go to Madrid. Kirk has went to Liverpool, and there was one more that I'm missing out on. That's it. The Bayern to PSG, and they bring in players who, like Joe mentioned, have the potential to be like those players that left. But my biggest thing for them is, and it comes into AFCON again. I want to ask Jake this question, that because I assume that Semenyo's going to go to AFCON. I assume so. If he does go with Ghana, do you think, Jake, do we see a bit of a dip from Bournemouth, or do you think it'll be fine?
Well, I mean, we may see a dip depending on like the teams they're coming up against, maybe, and how their like momentum into the games are. But
Well,
as
he
we can
is
see,
their main attacking threat. I think he scores goals as well as creating goals, whether it's the start of play, whether it's the end of play. I think he's a key man for them. And I do think they'll struggle without him. I really do. I
Yeah.
don't think they have that winger that can replace him and perform how he
Yeah.
does.
Well, I've got their games here. December when AFCON takes place, and you've got United away, you've got Burnley at home, Brentford away, Chelsea away, they've got Arsenal at home, Spurs at home, and then Brighton away, and then Liverpool at home. So really, they are some tough games, and I think that, like Jake mentioned, it's a question of how the fixtures line up, and I think that they'll be fine in a sense of they've got Kluivert there still. And I think that Patrick Kluivert can offer Bournemouth a lot of quality, but he's not Semenyo. Like, he's on a whole new level, and I just worry a little bit for them that AFCON in particular will sort of do him an injustice. So I hope that's not the case, but it's looking very likely.
Yeah, I think it's time we move on now to Brentford versus Newcastle. I've got a stat here that might surprise a few people. That's Newcastle's 10th away loss in a row. Obviously their form at home is unbelievable, whether it's in the Champions League or the Premier League. But Dan Burn being sent off, a lot of VAR, it was just a crazy game. What did you guys think of it?
well, I mean, Newcastle having most of the possession where they didn't make anything out of it, whereas with Brentford with their 49% possession, it's more quality football from them, really. As we can see, 3 goals from them in the middle to late stages of the game, which is good.
And when we have to remember that their coach is a set piece manager. And he's now stepped into the role of being first team manager, and that's just crazy. And I think people underestimated Brentford at the start of the season, losing Mbemu, even Ivan Toney. But I think they're doing well. Obviously, the Dan Burn red card did kill Newcastle, but before that, they only had 4 shots, and it's just.
I think it is, Kai. I think that a lot of people aren't ready for the conversation of Eddie Howe, because it's got to the point now whether 2 points off the bottom 3, and it's like if this was Andrew at Forest, or if this was Andrew at Tottenham, or Marco Silva, the press would be hounding those coaches. But with Eddie Howe, Newcastle fans sort of have this Messiah gimmick about him, to like he's untouchable. And if you look at their record this season, the Champions League and the Carabao Cup paper over so many cracks, because away from home, is mentioning Kai, 10 losses on the bounce, and it's like, if they keep on playing the way they are in the league, they might not even get Conference League. And that's not me as a disliker of the club saying that. It's a football because I look at their team and the players they brought in. I mean, Alanga's 0-17 now with goals and assists in the league, which is absolutely shocking. And I look, Almiron, who left. And it's like, did you need to really let Almiron go for Alanga? Because to me, Almiron's the better player in terms of the goals and assists, in terms of early on the eye. But I think the big key thing, Kai, was that I looked at their bench, and one of the things I don't like in a team is having a lot of England players. Now, what I mean about it is that I like a team who has a bit of a balance. You have international players, and then you have English players. But I like Newcastle to have like a Guimaraes or a Johnson to have a bit of a bite about them. Because if you put, let's say, a thingy from Tottenham, Romero, right? He's got a bit of a bite about him, a bit of a character. He will change that defense like that, because them South Americans, especially at St James's Park, would instantly improve them. And I look at their overall depth, and it's just really poor. And I just don't know how they get the next win. I really don't see it. I just don't.
Yeah, I think the conversation with Eddie Howe's quite hard because obviously they won the Carabao Cup last season. Yeah. I think Newcastle fans will live off that. So, but it is hard, I think. Who's the assistant manager for Newcastle? What's his?
Jason Tindall.
Yeah, I genuinely think he could go manage the team himself. We saw it when Eddie Howe wasn't turning up to the Newcastle matches due to his illness. I think he took charge and he didn't lose the game. I could see him managing a top side. And
I think they've let him down, Newcastle. I think with selling Isak, I think he got 130 million for him. But I think there's surely, now I know they had financial fair play problems, but surely now them selling Isak 130 million, they've got some money to spend. Surely they've from going to buy Nick Voltermaid for 80 million. I thought it was a brilliant signing. Can you do what, I think maybe it's a bit biased, can you go and do what Arsenal's done and go in, they've got good starting 11, but can you go and get good squad depth that's gonna, and are they in the Champions League? They're in the Champions League this year.
Yeah.
And I think that's gonna bite them in the bum, I think, later on.
I think with Arsenal as well, on the last 2 seasons coming second, I think some of that is due to the lack of squad depth, and I think they've got it this year, and I think that's what we'll see them over. I think will win the league.
I mean, I think Del, which I mentioned there, that I don't think people realise how hard a Champions League and league schedule is, because it's like you need to have Arsenal or Man City depth in order to go far in the competition. And I just look at their depth, and I mean, he's 2025, and they've still got Emil Crafted in their squad, and it's like he was there with Steve Bruce. Like you would have thought by now, FFP or PSR alone, they would have brought in like a little bit more quality of depth, because I look at that team and. You mentioned it earlier, Kai, about Dan Burn, and he should have came off earlier. I look at Lewis Hall, who came on after him, and I thought, like, that's the depth you've got. Look, I like Hall. I think he's a great player, but what they need is really 2 new fullbacks, because Livermento's out, Trippier's aging. Hall is more of a midfielder, otherwise, to be honest there, and Dan Burn's not a left back, as Brentford proved. So they need, in the January transfer for window, in my opinion, 2 fullbacks and a 10. Because that midfield 3 of Tonali, Guimaraes, and Joelinton, teams are starting to find out the way they're playing now, and that's really concerning for Eddie Howe. I Newcastle, because it's all well and good having those 3 players being solid, being bitey, being like having fight, but where's your creator? Where's your 10? That's
exactly what I was about to say. Where's the creativity? You know how Isak used to drop in, and used to create a little bit for him.
Yeah, but
it's almost, I think Nick Voltermaid, I think, is good, but it's almost he's a different type of player, I think. But also, I think with the fullback, I'll be honest, I think Livermento's slightly overrated for me. I feel like he's a good defender. I think he's a good defender. I think he's got capability. Well, good capabilities defensively, but I think he's lacking something maybe going forward or as a footballer in general. Well, I think if you're looking to take the next step and going to the title or in the Champions League, I think you need to look at Timber,
I think with
look
that
at
Livermento,
look at Krusnov or who's the right back for City, and they've put a central midfield player there because I think you need to play. I think if you want to dominate games, you're gonna have to play. So I think they definitely need fullbacks, and I think Harry, you're 100% right on that.
yeah. So I think now we move on to Forest versus Leeds. Forest 3-1. Leeds went 1-0 up early, but again, Sean Dyche proving why he is capable enough to still manage in the Premier League. I think they looked very good, and it is their first league win since the first game of the season, but they haven't had luck with managers, with owners. Harry, what do you think of the current state of Nottingham Forest Football Club at the moment?
I mean, first of all, I mean, Stone Cold Steve Dyche. What more can I say? I mean, look, I like the man. I think that the one thing that Forest fans that I've seen since Dyche came in is he's liked the way they're playing because it feels like Nuno again. Where in a case of they don't have much of the ball, but they'll still get the fans going and they'll still score goals. And I just think that they proved it on the weekend where you've seen Morgan Gibbs-White a little bit back to his old self of last season. You see Milenkovic and Murillo being the rock pair that they were last season. There were signs of that. But one of the really intriguing things that I noticed was Sangare. I've been really impressed with him under Dyche. I think in Europe, he's been terrific. And I think he's slowly starting to find his way to being a starter for Dyche because I could do that midfield three if he plays Sangare, Louise and Gibbs-White, or Sangare, Anderson and Gibbs-White. Like, there's a bit of a solidity there. And if they can continue this run on, being hard to beat, getting out wins and dragging out a point or three, then they'll be at least 13th come May because I think Europe will hinder them massively, but I actually think they'll go quite deep in the Europa League. I think semis or quarters because I look at Dyche and the team, and I just think that it's too good to not go to go down and to not progress far in Europe. So for me, impressed with them on the weekend. Thought Leeds, I mean, mate, keep it up. You keep on losing because I want you down, boys. No, but Leeds really unlucky. But Nottingham Forest are back on the up as it seems, and it only go up from here.
Yeah, touching on Sangare, he obviously scored at the weekend.
Welcome back,
been
Harry.
looking good. He's been looking good.
Hi, all right?
Yeah,
You all right,
all
the main
good.
man?
Hello. I'm enjoying this. I was just listening to. I had one ear. Well, I managed to tune my headphones. I didn't know you could do it. With one ear, you can have one audio, and one you can have the other. I never knew that. So I was on the podcast, also trying to listen in the other ear. Sounds like you're talking some good stuff. I like
Yeah,
what
we're
we've
just
all shared.
touching on the last game now. Man City 3, Liverpool 0.
Cool.
For me, I always saw that happening. Haaland's 99 league goals in 108 games. He missed the penalty.
Wow.
Should he have 100 by now? Or
I mean, Haaland's
Wow.
a freak of nature, innit? I mean, I can't say more. He's just a freak. No, I think, you know what it is, Kai? I think that on City, I think but we get to Liverpool and anyone else. Jeremy Doku.
yeah, he was unbelievable.
That guy, I said this to my dad, is a Liverpool fan. And I said, that's the best left winger performance of the league this season. So good that I can't see any left winger outdoing that, because to go in a game which I thought would be a tight 1-1 or maybe a 1-0 to City, I never expected a 3-0 thumping. Jeremy Doku absolutely had Bradley like that for the whole game, and I think that the rest of the panel agree with me that the Man City look like a team who want to go neck and neck with Arsenal, and I just think that if I'm an Arsenal fan and I was predicting who want to win that game, and I had this question to I'll ask Joe, that who did you want to win on the weekend?
I think Man City.
I wanted a draw. I wanted a 0-0. That's what I wanted. Maybe not what the neutral wanted, but I wanted a 0-0 so I could go in. What was it? 6 points clear of
Yeah.
City. I think that would have been a little bit better than 4, and they're breathing down our necks a little bit. But I still think without Rodri, I still think they can come up unstuck with a lot of games. But
Joe, who
not enough quality.
Who do you think are Arsenal's biggest threats this season?
City.
Yeah, I think I agree with that.
Yeah,
as well.
I agree with that.
But
I
if
think-
Haaland gets injured,
I think it's still a bit early on. What we're in match day 11.
Yeah.
I think
It's 12.
you're gonna have to wait till Christmas, and then you're gonna see as Liverpool sorted out their problems, and they could be second, third Liverpool in a few weeks. It's very tight.
Well,
I
I think that Joe, though, I think that it's similar to the title race. I think the one thing that City fans wanted was Arsenal to be where they are, because they know the last time this happened and they know how it ended. But I will caveat, I'll caveat and twist it. Wait.
I don't count last season. We weren't in the title race.
But I think that looking at City, and I've heard this whole without Haaland, and I disagree, because I think when you look at the game on the weekend on the Sunday, and you look at every player, I'm a Nico O'Reilly having Mohamed Salah on toast. Who would have ever thought that? Like Nico O'Reilly, and I just think that I put this question to Jake. Were you surprised at how well O'Reilly played, being that young, and as a player like Salah? Do you think it was quite surprising of how well he played?
I
think it's absolutely brilliant from such a young player with all that pressure on him from the fans. I mean, from the actual team itself, he actually stepped up to the plate and performs very well.
Is Salah a different player to Mark though this season compared to other seasons? Before, I think I looked at Salah when he was on the ball, and in my head I could vision him cutting in and having a shot. We didn't see that against City, and we haven't seen it from Mo Salah in a while. And I think that's a reason why Liverpool are struggling this season, due to the output of their wingers. Just nothing's really happening for them. So.
Yeah, I think Salah's lost a bit, maybe a yard of pace, maybe, and that got him, I think, a places a bit, and maybe that's a little, maybe it's a little confidence thing, maybe. I don't know, but I think it seems like when we've played Liverpool before, I'm so fearful of Salah, but it's like this season there's something off about him. But you know what? Like I said, with Liverpool, they could be a different team in a few weeks, and that could be because of Salah's back. And he could score a hat trick next week. We don't know. Salah's a world class player, and a world class footballer. He could score a hat trick next week, and that. Go on then.
Just going back to Haaland, I mean, the absolute machine. As we know, Harry Kane, top goal scorer in the Prem, and it says that Haaland is second. Second from top. Sorry. But he's a well-known goal scorer in the Prem. 94 goals from Haaland in his 104 appearances. As we can see, Harry Kane with 201 goals, his record could be broken just like that next season.
Yeah.
I mean, Yeah, I mean, I think you know what I'll ask this question as a joke because it's Arsenal related because Thierry Henry's got a record on it. I think of 25 goals, is it, and 10 assists. I think I almost touched it. Do you worry that if Haaland starts getting a couple assists, he could maybe break that Henry record, or do you think Dwight Haaland's not the assisting type of a striker?
No, I don't think he gets 20 assists. Not for me. I don't think he's got.
Yeah.
I might be completely wrong, and you could be clipping this up, but I don't think he gets 20 assists. I think he probably gets about 35 goals.
Yeah.
But I think Henry had something different to his game, and I think he had. I remember him saying he preferred to set up a goal than actually score the goal, and that's the mentality you want. He could score goals. He knew he could score goals, but he loved. But I think Haaland's a pure goal scorer, and I don't think he has that. He's brilliant technical ability, but he hasn't got that. He can drop in. He's not. Pep Guardiola doesn't want him to drop in and get assists. He wants him to stay there, score me 35 goals, and I think that's his job. And I don't think that Henry is his. I think the last one that I was worried about was De Bruyne, but he's gone now. Luckily.
Yeah. Quickly before we end, we'll quickly touch on Liverpool. The money they have spent, and they're below teams such as United, Tottenham, even Sunderland. It is poor, and I think we have to see a change from them. But quickly.
Before we leave, Jake, I saw a lad put in a question earlier. What do you think of the Fulham's manager? The crisis, not crisis, but the sort of situation going there.
Well, I mean, coming into this game, there was some talks about Marco Silva. I mean, he has been he's had a good time and a good running at the club. Obviously signing for the 3-year contract here. But obviously going into the game, there was some talk, and after their defeat against Everton, that I think that has just topped it off really.
His contract's running out in the summer.
Yeah, and I think that maybe will be the end of him.
Yeah, he's probably got to Saudi, I think. He's had interest there before.
All right, guys, thank you for coming on today. Before we finish, I just want to ask everyone a quick question of where do you think your team will finish by the end of the season? We'll start with the main man, Harry.
Oh, God. Oh, great question. They put me on the spot here. I got my own question. Tottenham, then. I think 7th in the Premier League. I think we do well in the Champions League, but I think 7th in the Premier League. I think it'd be the lowest we finish under Frank. I think we'll only get better from there. You hope so, but no, it's a good question.
Joe, what about Arsenal?
Oh, shocking.
Well, I think as a Tottenham fan, I have to say that I will agree. I think Arsenal will win the league this season.
I thought you were happy with second, though, no?
I think, pardon?
I thought you were happy with second, no? Can we just agree on second?
No, never happy. I'm never happy with second, no.
Jake, where do you think Fulham will end?
His team
I think
win. Something, if it's the Champions League or the Premier League, I just don't see enough. I see City's got quality, but I just don't see if they've got that backbone, that structure anymore to really go toe-to-toe with Arsenal for the rest of the season. I think by February, Arsenal will start going on, and I think we'll win it by April.
I think as a Fulham fan, I don't think the season's going to get any better. So maybe just creep up there a tiny bit, but mostly probably stay in 15th, to be fair.
Yeah, and then ending with our final guest, Harry. Where do you think Manchester United will finish this season?
Hopefully no one gets his clipped up. I can't lie. No, I think judging off us how we've been in the start of the season, I think the highest I'd say it'd be about 6th. I think Mbeumo and Fernandes will carry us. I think they'll be the main 2 people to sort of get us that Europa League spot. But I think if you're asking me in terms of a non-biased thing, I think 8th. I think we'll just miss out. Yeah, I think we'll just miss out because I look at the way we're playing, and I think we're going to rely on Burmo and Fernandez and Cunha a little bit too much, to the point where teams will start to find it out and they'll try and nullify it. So that's why I think we will just miss out on Conference League, but who knows?
Brilliant.
Will you take 8th as a fan?
I think off of last season, I mean, getting 15th in the worst ever season that I've seen, if we was to get 8th and maybe be the FA Cup, I would bite your hand off for that. But I think 8th, and I can see a bit of a style of play coming in, I could sort of accept it. But you know, it should be in the Champions League spots as we should, but you know.
I'm just going to chip in here if you don't mind. Harry, do you think United board will be happy with that, considering United have got no Europe, so it's 1 game a week? I don't want to remind you of it, but got knocked out of the League Cup because you lost to Grimsby. So 1 game a week. Some would say, look, if you can only get 8th, you know, with 1 game a week, you know, how are you going to get any better than that when you get in Europe and you treat other competitions more seriously? So surely for United, the aim's got to be Europe of some kind, right?
Oh, I agree, Harry. I think that in terms of an Ineos perspective, I think my gut feeling is that if we don't get at least Conference League in this season, I think that Jason Wilcox will pull the plug, because there's been talks recently of wanting us to go to a 4-3-3 like a City, and Amorim's sort of being how Amorim is, and I just feel that if after having really a full season and a half, and we just don't get European football, I think that they'll pull the plug. And look, it'll be surprising if we get top 4, because the teams that are above us, I think, are better than us, and I just don't see a world where we get that. But Europa League, as I said, definitely on the cards, but still a long way to go.
I think that's the end. I think. Thank you to Jake and Harry for joining us. Harry, do you want to end the podcast for us?
Cool, lovely stuff, great stuff, guys. Let's go through firstly the whole panel and see where you can find them. We'll start with the guests. Jake, thanks so much for coming on your debut on the channel. Where can people find you if they want to follow you on social media or follow any of your stuff you do?
Well, I mean, I do have a golf account called tiny.golfer, which is quite a good account, I shall say. But I also have an Instagram account. It is sorry. It is Jake_Taylor with a 0. Thank you.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Jake. Welcome back anytime. Go drop Jake a follow, guys. Thank you for coming on. And Harry, great to have you on twice in a few days. So thank you very much for coming on. I mean, I would love to be talking to you about Spurs winning. I thought at the end that we got that smash and grab victory, so I'm annoyed we didn't. Where can people find you on the socials?
Yes, the names, pretty simple. You can find me on TikTok and Twitter with that name, Harry Richards, IMFC. On Instagram, it's also the same there. I post a bit of wrestling, I post a bit of football, a bit of music, everything. So if you like that sort of thing, Instagram's the one for you. But yeah, that's all my socials with one name there.
Harry, how many followers you got on TikTok though? Tell people.
I mean, you know, I'm the boasting type. No, I've got about 160,000 followers, and a lot of people like me on there. Some don't like me. Your social media is no, but it's a game changer. I mean, if anybody's thinking about going on TikTok, if you are Jake, ever wanted to do that, mate, go for it, because it can change your life, and it's changed mine personally. So yeah, it's a great experience, and it's given me opportunities to do stuff like this. So yeah.
Oh, it's really good to hear. I think you're an inspiration, Harry. Good stuff. Thank you. Right, let's go through to the host now. Two fantastic hosts for tonight. Firstly, Kai. I mean, sorry, Joe, but Kai, you've got to be the better one if you support Spurs. But where can people follow you on the socials?
Kai Days Media is my social media for football, and I post a bit of darts, a bit of cricket, just a bit of all-round sports, really.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Kai. It's a pleasure to have you on board. And Joe, thank you very much. I mean, football club aside, it's a real pleasure. I thought you were fantastic as well tonight. Where can people follow you?
Well, you follow me at Joe Carey Media on Instagram and Joe Carey07 on Twitter if you want to have the debate with me about Arsenal.
Exactly that. Yeah, thank you very much, and appreciate everyone that's listened, who's contributed in the comments. Just a reminder that no hate comments will be tolerated on the show towards any guest. So anyone that goes what I call over the line will be placed in temporary ban. I'm all about giving people second chances. So it'll be a ban, it'll be temporary ban, then it'll be permanent from the channel. So just a little light warning. But thank you to everyone that has contributed. There's been a lot of good comments tonight. Come back for Thursday at 8:45 p.m. for the next Premier League podcast. I mean, not as much to talk about an international break, but there's still always is, even with no games. But thanks for all watching and have a good night.
You too.